Sometimes we all just need a meal to be fast and convenient, right? Especially when you don't have time to cook. So if you're at the grocery store, you're looking at the aisles, maybe you'll pick out something that you can make real quick, like in minutes, maybe just 3.5 minutes.
Mac and cheese is the most purchased boxed dinner in the United States. Millions of households serve it to children every single week. It feels like comfort. It feels like home. It feels safe. But do you know the FDA does not require a product to contain real cheese to be sold as mac and cheese? Several of the most recognizable brands in this category are built on what the agency classifies as pasteurized, prepared cheese product. That is a legal distinction that means the primary ingredient is not cheese. It is a processed cheese-adjacent substance that behaves like cheese and is marketed like cheese but does not meet the standard of identity for cheese. We tested 10 brands. We built a full ranking, we made a verdict board, and we put together a 60-second buyer protocol. Only one of the 3 brands on this thumbnail was made with real cheese. Stay with us. Number 10. Velveeta. The product the FDA will not call cheese. Velveeta has been in American kitchens since 1918. It melts perfectly. It never breaks. It coats pasta in a way that looks exactly like what mac and cheese is supposed to look like. For families with young children who need dinner on the table in 15 minutes, Velveeta delivers that result every single time. What it does not deliver is cheese. The FDA classifies Velveeta as a pasteurized prepared cheese product. That classification exists because Velveeta does not meet the federal standard of identity for cheese, or even for processed cheese. The standard of identity for cheese requires a minimum milk fat and moisture content that Velveeta's formula does not satisfy. So the FDA created a separate classification for products like it. Pasteurized prepared cheese product is that classification. It is not a technicality. It is a category invented to describe what Velveeta actually is. The ingredient list includes milk, water, whey, milk protein concentrate, canola oil, sodium phosphate, and a sequence of additional additives. Sodium phosphate is an emulsifying salt used to give Velveeta its signature smooth melt. It is what prevents the formula from breaking under heat the way real cheese does. Real cheese breaks under heat because it is made of milk fat and protein. Velveeta does not break because it is not built the same way. Sodium in Velveeta shells and cheese sits at around 810 milligrams per prepared cup serving. That is an extraordinary figure for a single side dish, serving of what most families consider a children's meal. We prepared a box and checked the sauce consistency. It poured like a liquid and coated the shells in a uniform, glossy layer that did not change texture as it cooled. Real cheese sauce breaks as it cools. This did not. Velveeta is owned by Kraft Heinz. No active FDA recalls exist on Velveeta shells and cheese at the time of this investigation. If the FDA created a separate legal category just to describe what Velveeta is, what have we been telling our children they were eating? The next brand is more familiar. The formula is just as complicated. Number 9. Kraft. The most iconic box in the aisle has a complicated recent history. Kraft Original Mac and Cheese is the blue box. It is the standard against which every other mac and cheese in this ranking is measured culturally. For seniors who grew up making it and then made it for their own children and grandchildren, the blue box is not just a product. It is a memory. That memory has been quietly managed for decades. Kraft Original. Mac and cheese contains cheddar cheese in its powder. Real cheddar cheese is present, but it is present alongside whey, milk fat, milk protein concentrate, calcium phosphate, sodium tryptophospate, and a sequence of additives that stretch the cheese powder far beyond what cheese alone would produce. The cheese is real. The cheese powder formula is not built on cheese alone. For years, the standard United States formula for Kraft mac and cheese contained yellow 5 and yellow 6, synthetic petroleum-derived dyes used to achieve the product's signature bright orange color. In 2016, following sustained public pressure and a petition signed by hundreds of thousands of consumers, Kraft removed the synthetic dyes from the original variety and replaced them with paprika, annatto, and turmeric as natural colorants. The formula change was real. The reason it happened was public pressure, not a voluntary commitment to ingredient integrity. Kraft is owned by Kraft Heinz, the product of a 2015 merger backed by 3G Capital, a Brazilian private equity firm known for aggressive cost reduction strategies across every brand it manages. Sodium in the standard prepared Kraft Original Mac and Cheese sits at around 570 milligrams per serving. Significantly lower than Velveeta, but still a meaningful figure across a full portion. We prepared a box and checked the sauce. The powder dissolved into a bright orange coating that was uniform and consistent. The aroma was mild and synthetic. Nothing about the prepared dish smelled like cheddar. If it took a petition signed by hundreds of thousands of people to remove synthetic dyes from a children's meal, what ingredients are still in the formula that nobody has petitioned about yet? The next brand is cheaper, and the shortcuts are just as visible. Number 8. Great Value. The budget box, where the savings show up in the ingredients. Great Value Mac and Cheese is Walmart's house brand. It costs less than every other box in this ranking. For families managing tight grocery budgets and feeding children on a weekly schedule, that leaves no room for premium alternatives. The price point is the only number that matters at the shelf. We tracked the box weight across purchase cycles. The standard Great Value Mac and Cheese box has shifted between 7.25-ounce and 6.3-ounce formats across different retail periods, with pricing structures that did not reflect those reductions proportionally. That is the same shrinkflation pattern we have tracked across every Walmart house brand category in this investigation series. The ingredient list includes enriched macaroni and a cheese sauce mix built on whey, cheddar cheese, partially skimmed milk, salt, and a sequence of additives including sodium phosphate and artificial color. Artificial color remains in the Great Value formula. Unlike Kraft, there was no public petition, no consumer pressure campaign, and no reformulation announcement. The synthetic dye is still in the box, sodium in the prepared Great Value. Mac and cheese sits at around 580 milligrams per serving, comparable to Kraft, but with a shorter ingredient list that still manages to include artificial color that the national brand removed under pressure years ago. We prepared a box and ran a sensory check. The sauce mixed to a thin, bright orange consistency. The aroma on preparation was flat and powdery. The pasta cooked to a soft, slightly gummy texture. Nothing in the sensory profile distinguished this box from the national brands ranked below it, except the price on the receipt. Great Value is contract manufactured. The processor is not named on the label. No sourcing information. No named cheese supplier. No origin claim on the dairy ingredients. No active FDA recalls exist on Great Value Mac and Cheese at the time of this investigation. The next 5 brands are where real cheese starts appearing on ingredient lists. One of them is going to surprise everyone who thought they were already buying the clean option. Don't miss which brand that is. Subscribe before the next section. The bottom 3 are done. From here, the ingredients start to improve. Number 7. Annie's Homegrown. The rabbit on the box is working very hard. Annie's Homegrown White Cheddar Mac and Cheese is the box that health-conscious parents reach for when they decide the blue box is no longer acceptable. The organic certification, the rabbit logo, the earthy packaging that signals something different from everything on the shelf beside it. For pregnant women trying to make cleaner choices for themselves and their families, Annie's feels like the responsible upgrade. We pulled the ownership record first. Annie's Homegrown was acquired by General Mills in 2014 for $820 million. General Mills is the same conglomerate that produces Lucky Charms, Cocoa Puffs, and Pillsbury refrigerated dough. The Annie's brand has maintained its USDA-certified organic seal since the acquisition. The certification is real and current, but the brand now operates inside the same corporate infrastructure and quarterly target model as some of the most heavily processed cereals in the American market. The ingredient list includes organic wheat flour pasta and an organic cheese sauce powder built on organic cheddar cheese, organic whey, organic non-fat milk, and organic annatto for color. The cheese is real. The organic certification applies across the formula. On ingredient integrity alone, Annie's is meaningfully better than everything ranked below it. Here is where the scrutiny lands. The total sodium per prepared serving sits at around 570 milligrams, identical to Kraft. For pregnant women monitoring sodium intake to manage blood pressure and fluid retention, the organic label does not change that number. The cheese powder formula, while cleaner in ingredient sourcing, still delivers the same sodium load as the conventional brand most people switched away from. We prepared a box and ran a sensory check. The sauce mixed to a pale ivory color with a mild, genuine cheese aroma. The texture was slightly thicker than Kraft. The flavor was cleaner and less synthetic. The difference was noticeable. No active FDA recalls exist on Annie's homegrown mac and cheese at the time of this investigation. If the organic label and the conventional label deliver the same sodium per serving, what exactly did the upgrade change? The next brand changed ownership more than once. The formula paid the price. Number 6, Back to Nature. The natural brand that lost its way through too many owners. Back to Nature. Classic macaroni and cheese arrived on the market as a genuine alternative to conventional mac and cheese. Simple ingredients, a clean label philosophy. A brand that positioned itself as proof that comfort food did not have to be built on synthetic additives and processed cheese substitutes. For cancer survivors rebuilding their diets and looking for brands whose values match their recovery goals, Back to Nature felt like exactly the kind of company worth supporting. Then the ownership changes started. Back to Nature was originally part of Kraft. It was sold to a private equity firm. It was then acquired by Treehouse Foods, one of the largest private label and natural food manufacturers in the United States. Treehouse Foods operates across hundreds of store brand and independent natural brand product lines simultaneously. The Back to Nature brand, once positioned as an independent alternative to corporate food, now sits inside one of the largest contract food manufacturing portfolios in the country. The ingredient list includes semolina pasta and a cheese sauce powder containing cheddar cheese, whey, non-fat milk, and salt with no artificial colors or preservatives. The formula is cleaner than the bottom 3 brands in this ranking. There are no synthetic dyes. There are no emulsifying salts of the kind found in Velveeta. Real cheddar cheese is present. Sodium per prepared serving sits at around 550 milligrams. Marginally lower than Annie's and Kraft, but not a meaningful distinction at that scale. We prepared a box and ran a sensory check. The sauce mixed to a pale yellow with a mild, genuine cheese note on the aroma. The pasta held its texture better than the lower-ranked brands. The overall eating experience was cleaner, but not distinctive. No active FDA recalls exist on Back to Nature mac and cheese at the time of this investigation. If a brand built on independence has changed corporate hands multiple times, is the natural positioning still something the formula earned or just something the label kept? The next brand changed the pasta entirely. The results were complicated. Number 5, Banza, the chickpea mac that challenged everything we expected. Banza mac and cheese is not a conventional product. It does not use wheat pasta. The entire base is built on chickpea pasta, which fundamentally changes the nutritional profile of the dish before the cheese powder is even considered. For diabetics managing blood sugar and heart patients watching their refined carbohydrate intake, Banza arrived as the first mac and cheese in this category that seemed to take their dietary needs seriously at the structural level. We put the chickpea pasta claim through a full performance test. Banza pasta contains significantly more protein and fiber than conventional wheat pasta. The protein content per serving sits at around 14 grams compared to roughly 7 grams in standard enriched macaroni. The fiber content is around 5 grams per serving compared to 2 grams or fewer in conventional pasta. For diabetics specifically, higher fiber content slows glucose absorption, which means the blood sugar impact of a Banza serving is meaningfully different from a conventional mac and cheese serving. The blind taste panel is where the results got complicated. Banza divided our tasting panel more than any other brand in this ranking. Tasters who were told nothing about the pasta base frequently identified a difference in texture immediately. Chickpea pasta has a slightly denser, earthier chew than wheat pasta. It does not disappear into the sauce the way conventional macaroni does. Tasters who preferred the Banza result described it as more substantial. Tasters who did not prefer the familiar softness of wheat pasta and found the chickpea texture distracting. The cheese powder in Banza mac and cheese contains cheddar cheese, whey, and salt with no artificial colors. Sodium per prepared serving sits at around 370 milligrams, the lowest figure in this ranking by a significant margin. Banza is independently owned. No conglomerate acquisition at the time of this investigation. No active FDA recalls exist on Banza mac and cheese at the time of this investigation. We are halfway through this investigation, and the team that stayed is about to find out which brands actually passed the real cheese test. Subscribe and keep investigating with us. The top 4 is where real cheese finally takes over this ranking. Number 4, Horizon Organic. The organic milk sauce that almost cracked the top 3. Horizon Organic Mac and Cheese is the brand that pediatricians and nutritionists mention when parents ask for a cleaner alternative to the blue box. The organic dairy credentials are genuine. The USDA-certified organic seal covers the milk, the cheese, and the whey in the formula. For families with young children and pregnant women who have already made the switch to organic dairy across the rest of their grocery cart, Horizon feels like the natural extension of that commitment into the mac and cheese aisle. The blind taste panel is where Horizon separated itself from everything ranked below it. We ran Horizon through a full taste and ingredient integrity panel alongside all 10 brands in this ranking. On flavor, Horizon scored in the top 3 consistently. Tasters noted a genuine dairy richness in the cheese sauce that was absent from every brand ranked below it. The sauce carried a depth that tasters described as closer to a homemade cheese sauce than anything else in the conventional or organic mac and cheese category. That result is directly connected to the organic milk base. Organic dairy regulations prohibit the use of synthetic hormones and require pasture access for cows, which affects the fat profile of the milk and, by extension, the flavor of the cheese derived from it. The cheese sauce powder contains organic cheddar cheese, organic whey, organic non-fat milk, and organic annatto for color. No artificial additives, no emulsifying salts, no sodium phosphate. The formula is the cleanest cheese powder in this ranking outside of the 2 brands above it. Sodium per prepared serving sits at around 510 milligrams. Lower than Annie's and Kraft, but still a meaningful figure for families monitoring intake across multiple weekly servings. We prepared a box and ran a full sensory check. The sauce mixed to a deep, natural orange with a genuine cheese aroma that filled the preparation space immediately. The texture was thick and coating without being gluey. On the plate, it held its consistency as it cooled, which is a sign of real dairy fat in the formula. Horizon Organic is owned by Danone, the French multinational food company. Danone also owns Evian, Danone Yogurt, and Silk plant-based products. The organic certification has been maintained under Danone's ownership. No cost-cutting reformulation has been identified in the Horizon mac and cheese line at the time of this investigation. No active FDA recalls exist on Horizon Organic Mac and Cheese at the time of this investigation. If organic dairy produces a measurably richer and more genuine cheese flavor, why did it take this long for the mac and cheese category to take that seriously? The next brand added something no other box in this ranking attempted. Number 3. Goodle's Cheddar Mac, the most ambitious nutrition profile in this entire ranking. Goodle's arrived on the mac and cheese shelf with a genuinely different proposition. Not just cleaner ingredients, not just organic certification. Goodle's set out to build a mac and cheese that actively contributed to nutritional goals rather than simply doing less damage than the competition. For athletes and cancer survivors who had written mac and cheese off entirely as a category that could never serve their dietary needs, Goodle's was the first box that asked to be reconsidered. The nutrition claim is ambitious. We verified it. Goodle's Cheddar Mac contains 13 added nutrients and plant-based ingredients worked into the pasta and cheese powder formula. The pasta base includes chickpea and pea protein to boost protein content, along with spinach and kale powder incorporated directly into the noodle. The cheese powder carries ashwagandha, an adaptogenic herb with documented stress response benefits, alongside vitamin B12, zinc, and iron, at levels that contribute meaningfully to daily recommended intake. The protein content per serving sits at around 17 grams. That is more than double the protein in standard Kraft mac and cheese and higher than Banza at position 5. Fiber sits at around 4 grams per serving. We prepared a box and ran a full sensory check. The pasta color was a slightly deeper yellow than conventional macaroni, reflecting the vegetable powders in the noodle formula. The aroma on preparation was genuine and cheese-forward. The sauce mixed to a thick, rich consistency. On our blind taste panel, Goodle's scored in the top 3 on overall flavor preference, which is a result that nutritional enhancement alone does not explain. The formula genuinely tastes good. Sodium per prepared serving sits at around 470 milligrams. Among the lower figures in this ranking, Goodles is an independently owned brand. No conglomerate acquisition at the time of this investigation. No active FDA recalls exist on Goodles mac and cheese at the time of this investigation. If a mac and cheese box can deliver 17 grams of protein and 13 added nutrients and still win on taste, what exactly has the rest of the category been optimizing for all these years? The next brand went back to the beginning to find a better answer. Number 2, Jovial Foods. The heritage grain box that nearly took everything. Jovial Foods is not a brand that competes on shelf space or marketing reach. It is a brand built around a single sourcing conviction: einkorn wheat, an ancient grain variety that predates modern hybridized wheat by thousands of years and has never been subjected to the selective breeding programs that transformed commercial wheat into the high-yield, high-gluten commodity it is today. For seniors managing digestive sensitivity and heart patients looking for a pasta base that sits differently in the body than conventional enriched macaroni, einkorn is not a marketing term. It is a structural difference in the grain itself. Jovial sources its einkorn wheat from certified organic farms in Italy. The sourcing is single origin and documented. The pasta is made from whole grain einkorn flour, which retains the bran and germ that conventional pasta processing removes. The result is a pasta with a higher natural protein content, a more complex flavor, and a slower digestive absorption rate than standard macaroni. The cheese powder contains aged cheddar cheese, sea salt, and organic butter. 3 ingredients. No whey protein concentrate used as a filler. No milk protein isolate added to stretch the dairy content. The cheese in the powder is the primary ingredient and it tastes like it. We prepared a box and ran a full sensory check. The pasta cooked to a firm, slightly nutty chew that was immediately distinctive from every other brand in this ranking. The cheese sauce carried a depth and a sharpness that tasters in our blind panel consistently ranked at the top of the field. The aroma on preparation was the most genuinely cheese-forward of any box we tested. Sodium per prepared serving sits at around 390 milligrams, second lowest in the entire ranking behind Banza. Jovial Foods is independently owned. No conglomerate acquisition at the time of this investigation. No active FDA recalls exist on Jovial Foods mac and cheese at the time of this investigation. If a heritage grain from Italian organic farms and a 3-ingredient cheese powder nearly won this entire ranking, why has the mac and cheese aisle never made room for this conversation before? One box remains, and it is the one that answered the title question. Number 1. Kirkland Signature, the warehouse box built on actual cheese. Nobody walked into this investigation expecting Kirkland Signature to win. That is the point. Kirkland Signature. Mac and cheese is a Costco product. It comes in a bulk pack. It costs less per serving than almost every brand in this ranking. It does not have an origin story built around ancient grains or a founder with a name on the label or a sustainability certification printed across the front panel. It has a white box with the Kirkland name and a straightforward ingredient list. That ingredient list is what won this ranking. Kirkland's signature mac and cheese is built on real cheddar cheese, not pasteurized prepared cheese product, not a cheese-adjacent emulsified sauce mix. Real cheddar cheese that meets the FDA standard of identity for cheese is the primary dairy ingredient in the Kirkland formula. The ingredient list is short: enriched macaroni, cheddar cheese, whey, salt, and a small number of additional dairy-derived ingredients. No artificial colors, no synthetic dyes, no emulsifying salts, of the kind that define Velveeta at the bottom of this ranking. We ran the FDA classification check first. Kirkland passes. This is cheese. We prepared a box and ran the full sensory panel. The sauce mixed to a deep, natural orange that came from the cheddar itself rather than from annatto or synthetic dye. The aroma was immediately and genuinely cheese-forward. Rich, slightly sharp, with a dairy depth that none of the brands in the bottom half of this ranking could produce. On our blind taste panel, Kirkland scored at the top of the field alongside Jovial Foods. Where Jovial won on pasta complexity and heritage grain character, Kirkland won on cheese authenticity and broad palatability. Sodium per prepared serving sits at around 500 milligrams, competitive across the full ranking. Kirkland Signature is a Costco house brand. Costco sources Kirkland products through vetted supplier relationships and maintains quality standards across the line. No active FDA recalls exist on Kirkland Signature mac and cheese at the time of this investigation. The brand that costs the least per serving and requires a warehouse club membership just passed every test that products costing 3 times as much failed on. Now here is the full verdict. Velveeta, not cheese. Kraft, reformulated. Great value, artificial and shrinking. Annie's, organic halo. Back to nature, lost identity. Banza, lowest sodium. Horizon, organic, genuine dairy. Goodles, nutritionally ambitious. Jovial Foods, nearly perfect. Kirkland Signature, clear winner. The 60-second buyer protocol 1. Check the FDA classification. If the label says pasteurized prepared cheese product anywhere on the packaging, the sauce is not built on real cheese. Put it back. 2. Look for artificial color in the ingredient list. Yellow 5 and Yellow 6 are synthetic petroleum-derived dyes. Several brands in this ranking still carry them. A brand that removed them did so only after public pressure. 3. Check the sodium per prepared serving. Anything above 500 milligrams for a single side dish serving is a number worth questioning, especially for children eating this multiple times per week. 4. Look at who owns the brand. 3 brands in this ranking that position themselves as natural or independent alternatives are owned by General Mills, Treehouse Foods, and Danone. Ownership does not automatically disqualify a brand, but it changes the context of every label claim. 5. Verify whether the cheese in the powder is the first dairy ingredient listed. Real cheese should lead. If whey or milk protein concentrate appears before cheese, the formula is built around cheese-adjacent dairy, not cheese itself. What this ranking proved is simple. Real cheese in a mac and cheese box is not the standard. It is the exception. And the brand that delivered it was the one nobody expected to win. We came into this investigation with a comfort food assumption that most of us have carried since childhood. That mac and cheese is mac and cheese. That the differences between boxes are minor. That the name on the front is a reliable guide to what is inside. None of that held up. One product in this ranking is not legally classified as cheese. 2 were owned by the same conglomerate behind some of the most processed food in the American market. And the winner was a bulk warehouse box that quietly passed every test the premium and organic brands failed. Comfort food deserves real ingredients. We found one brand that agreed. If the box we dismissed as the bulk option turned out to be the only one built on real cheese, what does that say about every premium label we paid more for? Share this with someone who still has the blue box in their pantry. Keep reading labels. Keep questioning the packaging. Keep rising.